Hello, my English fans. I'm here Saturday. See you Saturday in Stadium Tottenham.
Anthony Joshua versus Oleksandr Usyk has the makings of a heavyweight classic. The venue, the hype, the protagonists. But because both AJ and Usyk are technically sound, this fight could be very technical, i.e. aesthetically unpleasing for those who pay to see heavyweight action. So let me say this, anything can happen in this fight, literally anything. To me, this is close to a 50-50 fight with so much to unpack. So let's break things down as thoroughly as possible with both fighters' strengths, their unknowns, i.e. question marks, their last fights for reference purposes, to eventually attempt to get a consensus, i.e. Ringside Stories unofficial prediction at the end of all this. Hey Ringsiders, what is going on? This is your host, Boxing's Objective Observer, and welcome back to Ringside Stories. Or if you're new, we cover boxing and combat sports through mini documentaries, backstories, or in this case, fight previews. So if you enjoy that type of content, feel free to subscribe, thumbs up, and hit that notification bell for the latest here on Ringside Stories. Thanks in advance and welcome to the channel. I made two previews per se where I broke down Usyk's skill and what he is up against other than just the unified heavyweight world champion, just to offer some proper context as well as to dismiss the notion that Oleksandr Usyk will be an easy night's work for Anthony Joshua. That's not to say AJ can't stop Usyk early, trust me, AJ can. It's just that Oleksandr Usyk, in my opinion, has a chance to win the fight against AJ, and people shouldn't count him out just because Oleksandr is smaller, just because he moves up in weight, and just because he wasn't particularly impressive in his two first outings at heavyweight. Now let's take a look under the hood. Number one, their last fights. Both fighters haven't been particularly active as of lately, and when they clash on Saturday, September the 25th, 2021, Lord willingly, it will be the first fight in close to a year for both Anthony Joshua and Oleksandr Usyk. Usyk's last opponent was Derek Chisora on October 31st, 2020, who gave the Ukrainian a good taste of what might lay ahead on his journey with the big guys. The Londoner lived up to his moniker as Usyk ate some shots in his attempt to fight off War Chisora, especially in the early rounds. Eventually, Derek did slow down and Usyk was able to utilize his boxing brain, his movement, counterpunching abilities, and at times even let his hands go. Some observers criticized Usyk for his performance in the Chisora fight, as he did go through some awkward and difficult moments. In the Ukrainians' defense though, Joseph Parker's recent outing against Chisora was a much closer fight, which I personally had Chisora winning. The point, Joseph Parker at one point was the WBO heavyweight world champion and struggled more than Oleksandr Usyk did in his fight against Del Boy Derek Chisora. Now, although Derek Chisora, who just signed with Joshua's 258 management team, is not as formidable as AJ, we are talking about guys who approach a fight completely differently. And yes, Anthony is taller, punches harder than Derek. The question remains, how well does Oleksandr Usyk take a power shot from a genuine super heavyweight? Joshua's last outing was on December 12, 2020 against his IBF mandatory challenger Kubrat Pulev. Similar to Usyk versus Chisora, this fight to me showed two sides of the coin. On the one hand, Joshua showed improvements in his movement, especially his upper body movement, and his ever-developing jab, which was on full display against the Bulgarian challenger, who possesses an elite-level jab himself. Then in round 3, AJ caught Pulev with a sublime pullback counter, followed by a barrage of power shots, even dropping Pulev twice. From round 3, however, Anthony did take his foot off the gas. Some might say AJ was boxing smart, not wanting to blow out his tank, knowing he dealt with stamina issues in the past in the mid-rounds historically. Others might call it a bit of caution from Joshua's side, that being the psychological remnants of the first Andy Ruiz fight still lingering somewhat fresh in his mind. I think there's a point to be made for both sides of the occasion. Oleksandr Usyk has proven to be more fleet of foot than Pulev, has more tools than Pulev, and though mainly at cruiserweight, Usyk's fought and succeeded at a much higher level than Kubrat Pulev, both pro and amateur. So the question remains, how will Anthony Joshua deal with the unique attributes that Oleksandr Usyk will bring forth? Number 2. Strengths and unknowns. Speaking of which, Oleksandr Usyk will be a bit of a novelty for Anthony Joshua. Usyk is a southpaw, which today there aren't many top-level southpaws in today's heavyweight division, thus difficult to find any high-level quality sparring partners. Usyk's fighting style. Usyk utilizes a very advanced boxing IQ, figures out his opponents, capitalizes on their mistakes, and breaks them down in a variety of ways. Skill set. Oleksandr Usyk has a multi-purposeful jab, great foot and upper body movement, counterpunching ability, and the use of broken rhythm to offset his opponents, amongst other skills, which Usyk has proven to be able to utilize even at heavyweight so far. Used to traveling abroad and winning abroad. As a matter of fact, Oleksandr Usyk has earned all of his accolades pro and amateur away from home, as the Ukrainian has fought in high-profile fights before in numerous countries, including England. So although this will be in front of 60,000 people on Joshua's home turf, Oleksandr is used to dealing with this type of adversity. Anatoly Lomachenko, aka Papachenko, father of three-weight world champion Vasyl Lomachenko, who led Usyk to Olympic gold in 2012, as well as the undisputed world championship in 2018, when Oleksandr outclassed then unified cruiserweight world champion Murat Gassiev on his home turf. So having Papachenko in his corner has been a winning combination with Usyk before. Maybe it could prove successful once again. Now let's talk about Usyk's unknowns. How will Usyk deal with a power shot should Joshua be able to land clean? How is Usyk physically, as he has dealt with injuries throughout his career? In his last fight of October of 2020 against Derek Chisora, Usyk came in at a career heaviest at 217 pounds. It has been reported that Usyk will come in heavier for the Joshua fight. If so, how will Oleksandr fare against AJ? Will he be as effective and fast as he was when he was lighter? Joshua's attributes. Now the elephant in the room is AJ's punching power. When all said and done, mid-range is where Joshua's bread is buttered, especially with his signature uppercut. Also, AJ has developed an outside game, a long stiff jab, along with his right straight. I'm intrigued about the prospect of how Usyk deals with AJ's power if it gets to that. Very underrated boxing skills. On display in the Andy Ruiz rematch, where he's stuck behind a jab and moving around the ring, showing off elements he never showed before. He might have to resort to that, and I think he will at times in this upcoming fight against Usyk. But no matter the result, Anthony Joshua shows signs of an improving fighter. Perhaps Joshua's biggest asset is his commitment to the game, as he has achieved almost everything there is to achieve in the amateurs without a vast amateur career. Currently, as a pro, he holds 3 of the 4 major world heavyweight titles. He has 3 successful title defenses, winning 2 unification bouts as champion, taking multiple undefeated records of legit competition in just 25 pro fights. To have faced so many different styles, fighting all around the world with just 1 L on his record, which he immediately righted, that is a testament of Anthony Joshua's improvement, because the scary part of it all, Anthony Joshua's not even a finished article yet. Wait. In recent memory, Anthony has been criticized for being too muscular. In the ring, AJ was most ineffective when he came in heavy. Against Carlos Takam, when he came in his career heaviest at 254, he looked sluggish. Same goes for the first Ruiz fight. Joshua in the 230s is more potent, as he doesn't lose power, but is more mobile, which allows him to approach a fight in a myriad of ways or switch up in fight. Even when he came in at 237 pounds, his career lightest, for the Ruiz rematch. Against Oleksandr Usyk, AJ is looking to show up in a similar weight, or maybe even lighter, which in my opinion will only benefit him. Because unlike the destroyer, the Ukrainian has great legs, which makes up for an important component of his game if fully healthy. Under the bright lights. Having fought in sold-out venues, including the mecca of heavyweight boxing, Madison Square Garden, venues that were built just for him, sold-out football stadiums against Usyk's countryman Vladimir Klitschko back in 2017 in front of a sold-out 90,000 crowd at Wembley Stadium, London, England. Pretty much learning on the job, Joshua came through. The stage for this upcoming fight against Usyk will not be something new for Anthony. As a matter of fact, it most likely will enhance AJ's performance. There are, however, other things that Joshua will have to deal with on the night. So speaking of Anthony Joshua's unknowns, how will Joshua deal with Usyk's skill set in a fight against a man who will move around and look to frustrate his man? How will Joshua's stamina be, not just physically, but also mentally and psychologically? How's Joshua's punch resistance? Because even before the loss against Andy Ruiz Jr., AJ has looked vulnerable in many moments in different fights. Don't be fooled by the knockout ratio. A lot of people didn't believe Tyson Fury wouldn't be able to stop Deontay Wilder just because they were focused at his KO ratio. Styles make fights. Just because Usyk fights differently than Joshua doesn't mean that he can't stop the unified heavyweight world champion in this fight. Number 3. Preparations. Now, as stated, Usyk's style is hard to emulate in sparring, so I think he might be a bit of a novelty for Anthony Joshua. However, Team AJ did bring in some interesting sparring partners, of which you can see an episode here. The likes of Vartan Arutyunan, Shokran Parvani, who are of similar dimension to Usyk, who possesses some of the attributes that Usyk has, but obviously nowhere near the experience and level of the former undisputed cruiserweight world champion. Now, contrary to Usyk bulking up, Joshua is cutting weight, similar to when he rematched Andy Ruiz. A slimmer Joshua focusing on boxing more than weightlifting did make a difference in the past. Usyk's camp has been very straightforward. Lots of big guys, some of them with decent pro careers, some of them with vast training camp experiences that surely will be of help to Usyk. The biggest asset, in my opinion, being Martin Okolie, who is a big heavyweight himself, a top 15 fighter in 3 of the 4 major sanctioning bodies at the moment of this recording, and who has sparred many rounds with Anthony Joshua. Number 4, the fight. No amount of sparring, however, can simulate an actual fight under the bright lights. As for the actual fight, I think it will start cagey, with both Joshua and Usyk feeling each other out. I envision that both men's boxing IQs will be on full display, with Joshua's power and size being an imminent threat to Usyk at any time, while his 3-year-older challenger will be his elusive self, setting traps, offsetting the champ with his tactics. Now, if AJ can't finish Usyk in the opening stages, he'll have an energy dip during the mid-rounds, as these have been AJ's slow rounds historically, especially against top-level opposition. Depending on how both fighters deal with their respective tactics, I see Usyk, who normally is a slow starter, get in his groove mid-fight, to where 2 things can happen. Either Joshua adjusts and catches Usyk, or Usyk will pull away with an upset victory. Number 5. Ringside's unofficial prediction. So if I were a betting man, I'd take Anthony Joshua by stoppage, hedged with Oleksandr Usyk on points. Would I be shocked if the outcome proves to be different? No, because again, anything can happen in this fight. Styles make fights, and a lot of people do not understand the attributes the former undisputed cruiserweight world champion brings, and how they might trouble this particular heavyweight, who happens to be the current 2-time unified heavyweight champion of the world. So in my opinion, Usyk is a live underdog in this fight, yet an underdog nonetheless. Joshua Usyk has been proven to be a greatly promoted event, even if the undercard is unimpressive, even if Oleksandr Usyk is unproven at heavyweight, even if the fight won't be a barn burner from start to finish. Still, a lot of people are genuinely up for this fight, because there are a lot of questions fight fans will see answered on fight night. May the best man win, and I wish fight fans a great fight. These are just my observations. What are yours? Let us know in the comments below. If you like more content like this, and if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe, give a thumbs up, and hit that notification bell. It helps the channel out a lot. And as always, thank you so much for your support. Now, if you've done that already, you're amazing. We already know that. You are the true undisputed world champion. Till next time, Ringsiders, thank you so much for watching. This is your host, Boxing's Objective Observer with Ringside Stories. Thanks for watching and have a legendary day.